We're back here in the studio with Karen Hiller. We're talking about Heartland Park and the decision that was made about the petition that came out recently. That's where we want to jump into now. Now, we spent the first part finding out what this was all about and what the deal was. Now we want to talk about that petition. The gentleman who started it, Mr. Emming, Chris Emming, did he understand the issues?
You know, I talked to Chris the day that he had sent a letter when the day that the city voted in August. And I know Chris, so I called him and I said, do you understand the issues? And it turned out he didn't. But we talked it through, explained it through. I referred him back to the Capital Journal's article from June that was pretty good, explaining the issues. And then we talked again, and yes, he did understand the issues. And I said, well, then are you still going to proceed with the petition? I certainly personally support the right of citizens to do that, but not if it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or if what you're proposing would harm the taxpayers, the very people who would be signing the petition, potentially. Well, and so I asked him, and he said, well, I promised I would do it, so I'm going to do it anyway.
Now, did he understand that there were legal issues with the petition at that time?
I think with the structure of the petition, he hadn't done the petition that day. But once the city council went ahead and passed it, then he drafted the petition, got whatever sort of legal counsel he chose to have, and took it to the county, because the county has to approve it. And then when that happened, and the county councilor did approve it, but the city attorney said, wait a minute, we think there's a problem with that. We don't think you're citing the correct law. And the county attorney decided to go ahead with it anyway. And that was public as well. More legal issues about it came up as time progressed. The way the petitions got circulated without attaching the ordinance that they were proposing be put on a ballot in April. It's not illegal for the people who passed the petition to not know, not understand the issue, but and then a little more understanding about the business nature, which was this issue of whether citizens can even challenge a business deal piece of legislation, was what the city attorney was raising with the county attorney at the time.
Pre-existing business deal.
Exactly.
Okay.
You'd have to read it. I think all of that's going to be online if it's not already, so people can read the exact decision that the judge made. Again, I hope everybody backs up from that and says, what was the problem? The petition was run for a variety of reasons that people saw in the press. People didn't want to pay Core First, didn't want to pay Ray Irwin, just wanted a chance to vote on it because it was a lot of money. And all those are valid sentiments to have.
And the people that signed the petition at that time was Mr. Emming aware at that time that there were some kind of legal issues with this petition? Or
yes, because he knew that from the get-go. We all knew in town that the attorneys had disagreed about whether the petition was valid, but neither Mr. Emming didn't go back and get it changed anyway. So it all kind of hung. Truthfully, at the beginning, I look back, Mr. Emming himself said privately and publicly that he didn't know if it would go anywhere, but he just promised he would do it, so he was going to do it. So maybe people didn't take it seriously enough, he or any of the others, to say this is really important. It kind of snowballed, if you think about it, after it got started, and a lot of people jumped on board with it. But what happened was all the press time was spent on the petition drive and not on the issues. Okay. And I think got us to again, I can't say how much I appreciate your wanting to spend some time talking about the issues.
I think it's important that, a lot of people didn't understand.
It's a lot of money, and it's a lot for our future that we have to fix if we can.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of that, the next steps, because of this decision or because of how things turned up, the city talked about finding maybe a management contract or someone to run the park. Would we sell it? Would we get money? How would that? What's the deal there?
I want to back up to the petition for just a moment, if I may.
Yeah.
And that is that the petition, the specific language in the petition, which I'm not sure people really gave as much attention to at the beginning as they should have, said that the only two options that the petition demanded were that the city rescind the action in August, which you asked about, or vote on the August document.
Okay.
So part of the problem with that then in its very structure was that's a legal contract that we'd signed, and there were penalties and risks for the taxpayers for us to cancel
maybe
that.
the folks who knew about it didn't know the story.
Or if you didn't think it through and say, well, that's not, but anyway, that's what they asked to do. But the idea of the citizens voting, a lot of people, I know at least one place where the petition carrier told everybody, the people said, well, is this going to cost us any money to have a special election? And the petition carrier told them, oh, absolutely not. The idea that emerged as the time passed was that it would be in April. Well, the way that August document was set up, absolutely everything had to go step by step, and the final closing had to be in February. Everything had to be set by February 1, and the deal was over by the end of February. So a vote on that document in April wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You couldn't, it was over. You could vote on it, but
option
it's
at
totally
that point.
meaningless
Gotcha.
to vote on that document in April, which began to emerge for people that were trying to figure out what we were going to do as the petition drive continued. No one's, I don't know why nobody said anything, or whether people just were caught up in the excitement of the drive and not looking at what the petition said and how that would work. And so here we are.
And here we are, and where do we go?
Yeah, and so where we go now is that with the petition drive out, we have the transaction that was agreed to in August. So the council could do nothing and just move forward and say, well, deal's a deal, you lost. I hope we don't do that. The city council, the city manager has said that we will talk about it on Tuesday night, the 18th. I personally, not knowing exactly what would emerge, have made arrangements to if the city doesn't do them as a whole, personally host some public meetings. We can't wait too long, because if this collapses, we all lose. But if we can at least put off until the 25th of November, make sure we talk about it again to concur with our work from August, or come up with another plan. I think that the citizens need to absolutely get on it. They clearly didn't understand. No matter, you don't have to point fingers,
it's
but
complicated.
It wasn't explained well. The public clearly wants to know. They want to weigh in on that final takeout. And we've had to kind of hold our breath this long. Then if people didn't already find out the issues, and many people have emailed and called and caught people in the grocery store and on the street and now do understand those issues better. But for anybody that doesn't, they need to get on it with their council person, get on the city's website, call the city manager, come to a public meeting, ask every question they've got, the tough questions as well as there's no stupid questions, ask all of them. And then go ahead and challenge us about how that carry forward action would take. Okay, how do you know that will work? How are you going to set up these bids?
Well, did anybody
all those things
propose any better ideas? I mean, have you?
No.
So there's so it's
no.
Yes or no, and no solution for other than where we are.
And I want to vote on it's fine, but there has to be a better option, because we have all that money and the future of that economic development at stake. $10 million in the future of racing or economic development. So yeah, if the idea, we really got three options right now. If the idea that was voted in is sound, so people need to take all the pot shots at it they want, as far as I'm concerned, and challenge us on how we're going to carry it forward. We've lost some time because we were all caught up in all this other stuff. But then we should move forward. We could cancel it. If it turns out it's not a good idea, we could cancel it. That means we lose control of it, and the taxpayers will owe $10 million.
Still owe the money.
I mean, there's a chance something could be put together again in the future, but those things don't happen quickly. Or if there's a better idea, the third option is a better idea, and bring it on.
We're running really close on time here.
Yeah.
I only had about 30 seconds, but so what in a real quick nutshell, what went wrong with all of this?
I think people were all well-intended. Communication is what went wrong.
Well,
and we need to fix that.
Thank you for being here to communicate. I really do appreciate that, and And anytime you have something to explain, or, and any of our council folks, if they'd like to come on the show, we'd welcome them to come here so that we can help get the word out, and we certainly appreciate it. Thank you, Karen Hiller.
You're welcome.
Topeka City Council District 1, we certainly appreciate you here. Folks, don't go away. We have plenty more. We're going to be talking to the Helping Hands Humane Society coming up right after the break.